Hey everyone, it's Justin, Voices for Voices. Thank you for joining us on this special edition episode where we are going to cover a recent current event with our partner David Solomon, a recent post on mythical creatures around the world that we did for the geography of the country of North Korea and its people, its human beings, and we're going to be covering that. I just want to say before that, we want to welcome you wherever you're coming to us from. If you're coming to us from North Korea, welcome. We're glad, happy to have you with us. If you subscribe, like, follow, share, we greatly appreciate that. We are reaching close to 100 countries, 1,000 cities. Whether you watch, whether you listen, you can find the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast anywhere. And please share with your friends, your family, your colleagues, your teammates, your fellow students, your fellow coaches, your fellow teachers, anybody. We are learning that individuals who are coaches are having kind of like watch parties where while their team is working out in the weight room, they're pumping in the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast to the audio. And so we're very grateful to each and every one of you that is doing that. And we welcome anyone near and far that can do that. So we're going to hop into this mini episode. We have with us the person behind Mythical Creatures behind around the world, Mythical Creatures around the world. That is David Solomon, and we're going to just have a an episode and just talk about the recent post we did for North Korea. So, David, thank you so much for joining us on the show. We are grateful to have you with us, and we can get started.
Thank you. Um, I just wanted to take this moment to just tell people that uh there was some controversy on why I posted on North Korea, and the truth of the matter is we are not in the same world that we were in 20 years ago regarding North Korea. In fact, North Korea has opened itself up to tourism and even going as far as putting Broadway type plays into some of its cities, including on the beaches. Um, so when people think North Korea, they think it's this great and evil place, and what they forget is it has people too. And the truth of the matter is, we're on the same planet. We breathe the same air. We have the same ocean. Um, it's not like they're on Mars. They're a neighboring country to us, like it or not. And it's not just North Korea, there are other countries ruled by dictatorships. And that's why when I write, I'm very careful not to politically um, make stories that offend those countries, but instead unite the differences of those countries. And that's why I choose to write about controversial countries like North Korea, Russia, China, Antarctica. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to write about other countries. That doesn't mean I'm going to not do other stories set in good countries that we know. But that does mean that there needs to be a difference in those countries too. Um, and Mythical Creatures Around the World is foremost a folklore resource for people to get information and to help them know folklore and mythology and not just rely on ChatGPT, because I promise you, ChatGPT will not tell you anything about North Korea. Now, I will say um, on Mythical, I kind of, I don't judge the countries. I don't even judge the people. It's about folklore and not politics. So I'm going to give the audience an example, and I hope I don't butcher the name. um, so in North Korea, there is a lake, and you can look this up on Wikipedia. There's actually a lake monster in North Korea that is like the Loch Ness monster. Isn't that weird? Like we say North Korea doesn't have anything, and we say, you know, it doesn't have myths and lore, and then there it is. So it's referred to as Heaven Lake. It's a volcanic crater on the border of China and North Korea. And it's kind of interesting because there's a lot of stories behind it. No one really knows. Um, but it is a cryptoid, and a cryptoid means an unknown species of creature, uh, like the Loch Ness monster that lives at the top of this lake on the border of North Korea and both China. Now, that's not the only North Korea myth. You also got to remember that North Korea has only been around for a little bit, and North Korea was actually part of the Korean Peninsula, which was South Korea, and there was no South Korea. It was the Korean Peninsula. And so you have the myths of North Korea. The horse that I published, actually, although North Korea uses it, is not exclusively only North Korean either. It's also South Korean because it comes from Korean culture and Korean mythology. So I wanted to take this moment to kind of educate people that there is going to be controversy on some things that I do. And I want you to just stick with me because I'm trying to reach those people too. As a folklorist, I believe that they deserve to be heard. I believe that they have a story to tell. And I believe that story needs to be told. You know, in the United States, we're so quick to go, we don't have folklore, and we live in a utopia where we don't have mythology yet. We have Roswell, New Mexico. We have Area 51, great examples. What do you think folklore is? Folklore is a mythology, not theology. And so folklore is everywhere. Fairies, mermaids, Bigfoot on the West Coast. In Texas, you got the Goatman. You know, in Ohio, you got the Melonheads, Chessie in the Chesapeake Bay, which is a Loch Ness monster. Anywhere you go, you got the Skinwalkers in Nevada. Like, we don't live in a society where there's no folklore. In fact, we're surrounded by it. More so than any other country because all these immigrants came to our country and brought with them the stories. I'll give you an example. In Southern California, the Weeping Woman is told in Westminster, San Diego, all the way to San Bernardino, and all the way to Arizona, and all the way to Texas, and all the way down to Florida. Same story, just different version. But we judge people too. And so when I became a folklorist at a very young age, I really wanted to strive to be a voice for those that have none, and especially with countries and representing countries, because that's really important to me to help those that need help to tell their story. And culture is history. And then how do you reach people with God? Well, you tell stories that impact their culture. How do you become a missionary in a foreign land? Well, you don't go to Russia speaking English, you go there speaking Russian. That doesn't mean that it makes you Russian. That means that you respect the culture and the language and you want to get to know the people. Well, that same set of circumstances applies here. Now, I want to make it known under no circumstances do I agree with the government of North Korea. But they are in my story world because every country has representation. And the reason for that is we're gearing up for an Olympic event where there'll be toys and merchandise of every country. And that doesn't mean no North Korea. North Korea is in the Olympics. So I know people are going to look down and go, why North Korea? Well, they're people too. They deserve to be heard. You may not agree with them, then don't read the story. But don't hate on it when we're trying to make a change on people's hearts. You know, actually, I talked to someone last night who said, you don't want to have vengeance. And that's exactly what this is about, not having vengeance on these countries that are dictatorships. Be a part of the change, be a part of the solution. Don't cause more controversy. If we cause more controversy, I mean, what are we doing? We're just going to shut down the things that we disagree with. You know, I did a post about 9 years ago, and it was Russian. People just freaked out. They were like, oh my gosh, you're writing a novel about Russia. You did a post, you drew Russia. How could you do Russia? And then the next day I did Moldova. And then people from Russia said, how could you do Moldova? And then I reminded people that they're neighbors with Ukraine. We're all people and we all have our stories and our culture. And you need to tell those stories. That doesn't mean that I'm going to write a story in North Korea and have the North Koreans go to war against the American mythical creatures. It means you're uniting on a forefront of an idea that we can all relate to. Love, safety, and the art of storytelling to carry on the legacy of both country and culture. Now, a lot of countries, if you go far back enough, merge into each other. And there's reasons for that. But I say it again, why are we judging? You know, I was writing Christian fantasy. I was ghostwriting for a writer long ago. And I asked a simple question, why are there not Black people in this story? And they were like, well, Christian fantasy doesn't have that. Well, that's not the God I serve. And God says, love people no matter what color or culture or creed. And it doesn't mean love the black people, but screw the Asian people. That means love everyone. You know, Hollywood is weird, and I've been a part of it. I'm not going to lie. But the woke got something right that we failed to do as conservatives, politics aside. When I say conservatives, I mean clean minded. I mean uh, people that like good stories. But they did get one thing right: representation, diversity needs to be done. But they got something wrong: stepping on someone else in order to make yourself better. I'll give you an example: Black Panther 2. I was a part of it. Black Panther 2 talks about the black people hurting white people and a racist event. Black Panther had its pedestal. Number one was great to be a part of. It was an amazing place to be in history. We got to see an entire culture represented that people have just laughed at. But then when you hold that power, you say, my life matters more than yours. And then you put people down. And then you become the bully who bullied you. So the white people bullied the black superheroes, and now the black superheroes bully the white. That's why Superman did not take off. This woke agenda of putting others down now. Now, I think the woke agenda started out with vision to tell stories that haven't been told. And I truly believe that needed to be done, but not in the way it is now. So North Korea is just another way of keeping culture. We're not saying there's a refugee from North Korea running because of the politics. We're talking about a story within the country. We're not putting politics into these stories. We're uniting these countries with these stories. I'll give you a little culture shock. Did you know that technically Russia is in the United States? Here's a culture moment. California, there's a part of land, and it's Fort Ross. It sits on the border. That's about an hour and a half from San Francisco, on the border of Sonoma County. It's still owned by Russia, technically. You can go to it. Russia flags, Russia fort, Russia everything. A great example that if you talk to people about folklore there, you're going to find Russian. The one place in America where you're going to find Russian folklore, also on the Oregon coast. There's a lot of Russian immigrants who call it home. And of course, Alaska, lots of Russian mixed folklore. And then the Norse, this is where it gets interesting. In Maine and New England in general, the Norse gods pop up in the Native American folklore, right, left, and center. I read a book called The Weasel Girls on Amazon. This is a short little book, and it's based on the idea of these weasel girls, but they shapeshift. But Loki is in it because Loki came from Native American folklore, which originated from the Norse. Isn't that funny how they intermingle? And Odin is in the Canadian folklore. Yeah, I'm sure the Vikings were here. So North Korea plays such a role. I wrote a story in Goa Goa, India, and they hate Christianity. Yet, the story I wrote, the post that I did, was one of the most viewed. Not because I said you're going to hell, not because I said India's wrong, but because I spoke their language. I respected their culture and their heritage, but they respected mine. And that's unheard of. Do you realize that I posted on another country that's just as controversial as North Korea? You missed it. It was in Africa where they behead anything that has to do with God. Their dictatorship, but there's no controversy there. Why? But I didn't get political. There's no need to. If you are spreading the light and you are telling a story that can be grasped by every nation on earth and being powerful that way, then you are doing right. That is what it's about. So, Mythical Creatures Around the World is a place where culture and people come together and you learn a little bit of these stories. Now, after the North Korea controversy, I posted on Dallas, but I am going to do another North Korea post. And it's not controversial. In fact, it's a beautiful love story. I'd love to share it with you. If no one knows, North Korea has an ocean. They actually have mermaids too. And North Korea has one of the most beautiful mermaid folklores. They are called the Seya, the blue sea dragons. Beautiful folklore. The blue sea dragons rule over the oceans. Now, here's the other interesting part. They also believe in aliens too. So there's a sighting in North Korea that we're going to be talking about, not because I'm a UFO expert or anything, it's historical. Really powerful moment for culture where both South Korea and North Korea united on this sighting. Instead of causing war, instead of causing division, why don't we unite instead of divide? Pakistan and Israel. When I post about Pakistan, I'm going to get controversy because I didn't post about Israel. When does it end? When does it end? When I post about Venezuela, they're going to get mad because I'm posting about America. If you stop the hate now, you become a better person. You become part of the solution and not the problem. So, a certain person last night said, don't be about vengeance. Well, this is doing the opposite. Be a part of the change. Change people's hearts, change people's minds. Don't let people define you. Don't let history define you. You make history. They're the ones tearing you down, saying, you can't do this and you can't do that. And David in the Bible could not slay the giant Goliath because everybody said that's not going to happen. And yet God gave him the slingshot and it happened. No one believed in Moses, yet he parted the Red Sea. Paul killed Christians. No one believed in him, Yet he saved so many and wrote half of the Bible. You can defy history. You can make history. You can define a generation or you can defy a generation, and it is up to you. Mythical creatures around the world wants to be a part of the change and make history and change history and create a way of thinking that we're all united as brothers and sisters on the same world. And since I'm Christian of Christ, but of other nations of God, of the Creator. And there's nothing wrong with that. People are so small minded when it comes to controversy over a culture because they don't like something about it. There is a controversial project I'm doing set in my hometown about uh, a black character in an all white town called White City. It had to be told. These stories have to be told. Why? Because if we don't, there won't be any change. Don't be a part of the hate. Love on someone. And those people that slam others and put them down, shame on you, even in the writing world. Stop it. Mythical Creatures around the world also is going to continue to put out content, merchandise, TV shows, comics, toys, video games. We are going to change the way the world thinks culture is, both from a Christian fiction point of view and also from a people point of view. But the North Korea story I wanted to talk about.
Thank you for going into such detail and giving the history. I think
Oh
that
yeah,
is
I mean it's
very helpful.
and North Korea, it's so beautiful, the history, because it used to be part of Korea. So like you have um you have the Gulamo, you have the sea dragons, so much. But I appreciate, getting to the bottom of this controversy. It shouldn't be a controversy. It should be a conversation of why is this wrong when we're trying to unite and teach kids even. Because my 9-year old, actually, I drew that for him so he could learn different countries. And we're using it in different homeschool curriculums nationwide. These things need to be talked about and taught to kids in a new way. Instead of giving kids hate, give them love, give them understanding and inspiration. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. And thanks to our viewers and listeners for tuning in to this special edition episode where we dive deep into recent posts about the country of North Korea. And we welcome people from North Korea and any other country, territory, province, city, township.
And a
Uh,
lot of people think that there's not a lot of people that get internet in North Korea. That's partially true, but again, a lot has changed because tourism has changed. And so there are parts where they do, particularly in the beach cities itself. And that's
Yeah,
part of being that change.
it is, and that's a huge part of, I think, why the two of us connect on a big macro level as well as on uh, individual projects is because with Voices for Voices, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help change the world's thinking. We want everybody to have a voice, and if we uh, say, well, this country and the people who live here, well, except for them, and then except for these over here, and then over here. To your point, David, uh, that just expands the hate. It makes the fire brighter of saying it's okay to say negative things and just shun people. And we don't believe that, which is another reason why the content that not only did we get the honor to be able to post on mythical creatures around the world is so important, but also why the guests and the different topics that we talk about on our show are so important, where other shows, they don't touch it. They don't want anything to do with it. And the only way we can make the world a better place is for everybody to feel like they're included. And so the person that's gone through a really difficult situation, which we all have, um, in certain ways, and if we shun those people, then it shows children and others that it's okay to, well, we don't need to talk about that because that's just taboo, and that's dangerous, and well, a lot of things are dangerous um, each and every day, and so we're grateful to have the opportunity to have you on, dude, to be able to reach people in areas that, again, where we're not bringing up the politics side of it. We're bringing up the culture of the people that they can relate to. And that's the important thing, where we can get along as human beings. And yes, we're all going to have differences. Even the most popular celebrity is going to have people that don't like them. And so we can't expect each we can't expect everybody to love every single thing we do, and there's things we're going to disagree on, but at the macro, at the top level, wanting to help and change the world and be a voice and help 3 billion people, and more than that, this is the way we do it. It's by uniting, not dividing. So
That's
David, thank
right. And like even
you.
in Hollywood, it's the
Mhm.
same. It's the same attitude as North Korea. There's controversy if you post about certain, honestly, folklore in Hollywood. People will get mad at you and go, how dare you? How dare you talk about, Christianity in Hollywood? It's the same idea. Or folklore. And again, it's all about reaching people. It's all about honoring culture and legacy. Just recently, uh, I was approached to not do a drama in Compton, California, which is the most crime-ridden area in Los Angeles. They said, "You don't want to do a story about there." That's exactly where I want to do it because there needs to be hope. There needs to be light and love, and let that shine in that neighborhood and those areas. And and so that's why I'm doing these stories in these controversial areas because the world isn't just smiling rainbows anymore. Now, there are going to be happy stories where they're just amazing and they're going to get butterflies in your stomach and go, whoa, that's really cool. But there are going to be moments where it's going to make you think. And as a survivor of what I survived, trafficking, it made me honestly a better person because I love more on people and I appreciate people more than I ever did. And that's how God used that to really open my eyes. I saw the world really dark for a long time. And then God really showed me through my wife, through my family, that there is hope out there. And I hope to show that same hope through my writing and my creations and pass that on to the next generation. My 9-year old, his book is out and he did the same thing. And we're creating even now. And he wants to be a part of that change that changes and impacts culture and people and makes the world a better place. So
Yeah,
thank you for being the voice for those that have none, Justin. Truly thank you. And I'm honored to just work with Voices for Voices in whatever capacity we do.
yeah, and we're grateful to be able to work with you, mythical creatures around the world. They're they just interconnect at that human level, and that's something that's hard to it's really hard to find. And so it's really a miracle that we were able to uh, find each other. And uh, yeah, there's hard times, and there's times that are not quite as hard. And I'm the same way. I looked at the world in a much darker view for quite a long time, and through my mental challenges, and still to this day, make me appreciate a lot more than I had before. Doesn't mean I'm perfect and nobody's perfect, no matter we know that there are some people out there that think they are, but they're not. And so once we get past that, we realize that we all have fault, we all have sin. There's things that we do really well and they're helpful, and there's other things that are detractful and divide us. And so the more people we can bring together, like you mentioned, and I don't say faraway lands that people would never think of wanting to do a post in certain areas, and we're doing that. And I think there's jealousy and envy that comes with that, because people look at that and first off they're like, well, how dare you do that? And then after that it comes down to the jealousy of like, well, I wish I did that. I wish there was a way, like, look, they're actually doing the thing. They're doing the thing, and doing the thing is not an easy thing to do when there's all kinds of pressures just to, pack up shop and just pretend like none of this matters. And you and I are in the same, where we're like, no, it does matter, and we're reaching more and more people. We had record-setting month of downloads and views of our show in October, and I don't think it was by coincidence. I think that and know that there's higher powers that are behind all that, and it's because we're bringing people together and we're not dividing. And if there is a topic where we may seem like we're dividing, it's not by plan, and it's not something that we set out to do. And so we want to also say that as well. But thanks to David Solomon for what everything he's gone through to still be with us here today. to do what he's doing, talking about the hard topics, which actually not that hard. They're just the same. It's okay, we're putting a post for one country. Like, okay, so we're gonna put a post for another country. There's really, I mean, characters and the folklore and the cities and the countries, that part's different. But as far as the post, it gets posted the exact same way. You have to go through a certain process, and then you insert it and you upload it and then you tag and you pick the location. Uh, and so all that is the same, just like coming down to human nature of there are human beings, regardless of what the political landscape is for any country or territory. And uh, we at Voices for Voices, David bringing together mythical creatures around the world, if you heard that, you heard around the world. And so that makes complete sense of why there are different myths and folklores about countries, territories around the world, because it's right there in the title. All you have to do is open your eyes or have somebody whisper in your ear if you're unable to if you're unable to see uh, that when you hear about the world, that does not that doesn't mean one particular area. That means the world. So get out your atlas, go to Google Earth, go and look at the world and look at that globe and give it a spin and see all the water, all the land, all the territories, all the countries, and we're all connected as human beings. So thank you for joining us, David. Thank you for watching, our viewers or listeners. We truly do appreciate each and every one of you, no matter how long you watch. If you just watch for a minute or 30 seconds, the fact that you're even spending any time with us, we really do appreciate that because we know that the world has a lot of things, and to find your way to Voices for Voices, the mythical creatures around the world, it's truly remarkable, and we it's not lost on us. Uh, we like what we do, we love what we do, which is why we're doing it and why we're trying to reach people across the entire world, not just in certain picking certain areas. So until next time, this is Justin Hayes with Voices for Voices. We were joined by David Solomon, best known for his writings, his creating mythical creatures around the world, the 98,000 followers. We recommend if you're not a follower, you go on the Facebook. If you don't have Facebook, create a Facebook account just so you can add and follow mythical creatures around the world. We promise you won't be disappointed once you actually truly see what we're seeing and what we're sharing, because it truly is bringing people together. And the more you can share, the better connected us as a human race is. And we thank you once again. And please check out other episodes in our catalog. And we would really appreciate you smash that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, follow, like, share. All those things are free. They help David, they help us, they help mythical creatures around the world, they help Voices for Voices, they help us in that grassroots effort to get to that point where we are able and we're gonna hit that mark of helping 3 billion people over the course of my lifetime and beyond. We're going to eclipse that. You might say, whoa, that's crazy. Well, we were only supposed to have 300 total episodes by the end of calendar year 2025, and we're going to be 100 episodes over. So you can't discount people that are dreaming and people that are achieving their dreams. And so there's something that you want to do, you've always wanted to go visit. If you're able to do it, do it. Don't listen to other people that are dragging you down, that are toxic. They either don't understand, they don't want to understand, they want you to do what they want to do, not what you want to do. And you can do it. So whatever you want to do, put your mind to it, reach out. If you want to be on the show, we'd love to have you as another voice to share. We'd love to have you. So please reach out and we will see you on our next episode. And also check out our TikTok account. We have been from time to time been doing TikTok lives. And there again, you won't be disappointed. So we'll see you next time, everybody. Thank you so much.